Listen to me. See that sister, sure was fine. She's about to take it wine on the bottle. She told me, oh man, get it cry. She's doing time. Now she's singing in the bottle. I seen her out there on the avenue all by herself. Sure need help from the bottle. I seen her, the man tried to help her. She cussed him out and hit him in the bottle. They turned to me, they asked me, Killer, don't you think it's a crime? No way. And time after time after time, people in the bottle. There's people showing up in the bottle. Give another good example. You see that jet in a Rico suit, that damn near blown his to the bottom. He was a doctor helping young girls along. If they wasn't too far, gonna have problems. But the defenders of the dollar eagle said, what you doing, man? Illegal. Now he's in the bottle. And now we watch him every day. He's trying to take the pensions away from the bottom. He turned to me, he said, don't you think it's a crime?
Hey folks, how you doing? How you doing out there today? I'm trying to bring my good friend Frank Vernuccio in. Frank, are you there?
I am here.
Yeah, I can hear you now. How about that? Yeah.
Okay.
I know it should have been set up. How you doing, man? How was the 4th of July?
Too fast, too slow, too slow to slow down after a hectic year. Another year in America's come and gone, and we still have problems that we have to deal with by a long shot.
Well, you know, it's amazing to me that we're 6 months into this administration, and this administration has caused more harm, more damage in 6 months than some administrations in 4 years.
Well, if you look at one area in particular that's particularly worrisome is the defense budget. Representative Mike Rogers and Representative Ken Calvert, both Republicans, are doing a deep dive into the Biden defense budget, and they're looking at an army that has to cut its procurement by 12%. They're looking at a Navy, despite the fact that China now has a much larger fleet, will not be able to build one new ship under this budget constraint. And you have to wonder, what are they thinking? The most basic function of the federal government is to protect us from foreign affairs, foreign attacks, and yet this budget does absolutely none of that.
Well, you know what makes me angry is that we have Americans who are so effing stupid that all they can think about is how somebody sounds. But Donald Trump, I just didn't like the way he sounded. He was just, he just upset me the way he talked. Man, I'm telling you, this country has gone to hell in a handbasket. We have people today who have shirked their civic responsibility or citizenship responsibility. And it's most unfortunate. But more importantly, Frank, one of the things that I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, I'm listening to all the noise and the chatter, right? So I had an opportunity this weekend to kind of step back and do some reflection. And in doing this reflection, I'm looking at critical race theory. They're talking about critical race theory. Now, critical race theory is a very complex, framework of legal, scholarly, and academic work, right? So there's no way that critical race theory can be taught from K through 12. It would be lucky it was taught in grad school, okay? And I'm listening to these people talking about what critical race theory is. And I conclude that from, having read the critical race theory information that's out there and doctrine that's out there. And it appears to me that the proponents and opponents of critical race theory have conflated three different things. They conflate critical race theory with the 1619 Project and the 1776 Project. And that's not right. It's not right. It's not fair. And, it's critical race theory is a kind of a red flag, and it gets everybody, cancel culture didn't catch on. So now that we have to use critical race theory as the buzzword. But here we are, Frank, over 100 years after the Civil War. And we're still talking about race. The Brits say we spend far too much time talking about race.
Well, and I think we do, but I think also too many people profit from that. If we're looking at what some of the politicians, particularly on the left, do, is they talk about race and say, look, we're for the minorities, therefore vote for me. But here's the thing. When those leftist politicians get in office, they do nothing but screw the minorities with their economic policies. If we look at the 4 years of the Trump administration, we had the greatest financial gains of minority communities, particularly Black Americans, that we've ever had. Yeah. And the Democrats were screaming and yelling about the whole thing straight through those 4 years. It is important to understand that to the Democrat Party mentality, Blacks are on a plantation still that owe their loyalty and owe their obedience to the Democratic Party, even when that Democratic Party does everything possible to screw the Black man and woman.
Well, and they have for years. That's one reason why I've never been a Democrat. I've never liked liberals, one. I have this ardent, and I do mean an ardent disdain for liberals, And it just, I just don't. So
the catch of it all is that following the civil rights legislation of the 1960s, one would have expected that Black Americans would have progressed up the economic ladder the same way that Italians, Jews, and all the other groups did that faced some minor oppression when they came here, and that Blacks would begin to move into the mainstream of the economy. The fact that that didn't happen as it should have is a testament to the failure of those Great Society policies, which essentially said, well, Blacks don't deserve the same chance that everyone else has. We're going to put them on government programs rather than saying to a Black entrepreneur, we're going to help you build a business. We're going to help you do this and that to move into the mainstream. They came up with government programs, which did what? They gave jobs to the supporters of left-wing Democrat politicians, and they claimed that was helping the minorities, which is sheer nonsense. It helped the politicians, not the people that they were talking about. Well, and the fact is, the way it works is that you develop these left-wing programs, you give jobs to the supporters of Democrat candidates, who then use those jobs to ask for donations and volunteers for their campaigns. It makes the Democratic Party great and strong and does nothing for the targeted population.
Yeah. Let's say this. That's exactly right. But more importantly, year after year, person after person that I talk to that's Black, I face this brainwashing and this brainwashedness that people just don't understand how they've been led to the primrose pasture. They just don't get it. They really think that the Democrats actually did something for them. When I point out that J.C. Watts got the funding for the African American Museum, which I think is a misnomer. I don't like that name, and most Blacks don't like that name. But Blacks black politicians and black elites. They want Africa. I don't want to hear that bullshit about Africa. It's the Black American Museum, and then I don't know, Frank.
Charles, throughout my career, I've had offices for the most part either in the South Bronx or in Harlem. This is in New York City. And when I look at the government actions towards those two areas, they've had a lot of government programs, but what they should have been doing is funding black entrepreneurs to be successful, to hire more people from those communities. That hasn't occurred because when you give money to an entrepreneur and he hires people and he makes economic progress for his community, that doesn't help out the politicians at all. They don't have a stranglehold on that entrepreneur. They don't have a hold on the loyalty of the people who work for that entrepreneur. And so they much prefer wasteful government programs that accomplish absolutely nothing and provably have not accomplished anything since the 1960s. So you continue to go in this round robin of government programs which make the politicians powerful and do nothing for the people themselves.
Well, that's what I mean. I remember I was part of a OIC program for a summer, and the OIC program hired blacks who were connected. I mean, if you were a black kid who, like for instance, the OIC program I worked for, one of the local guys, his name was Shorter. He'd gone to Michigan State, played football. He'd gone to the NFL. He'd come back home. Well, he got one of these, the IOC, which was, oh God, it was Leon Sullivan, who was a Democrat supporter and civil rights leader and all that stuff. Reverend Leon Sullivan, that was his organization. The government had given him millions of dollars for job training. And what I realized at a very young age, working in this program at 18 years old, 19 years old, was that at the end of these training programs, there were no jobs for the people. There were no jobs for the people, Frank.
But there were jobs for a bunch of politically connected people who did very well from the program.
Yeah.
But of course, it produced nothing for the general economy of the community whatsoever.
Well, I mean, did the people, jobs after this job training, your hopes are up, and it really didn't dawn on me until, well, it did dawn on me, and I was, trying to, figure it out. But when my mother was in one of these programs, and she graduated from her little program and there was no job, I really felt bad. And that's when I knew I had to do something. And that's when I knew that the only way and the only place that I could do something was, from a policy perspective, would be in the Republican Party. When I started looking at policies and when I started listening to Dick Nixon and watching Dick Nixon implement policies in 1970, 71, 72, and talk about people having jobs and talking about if black folks have jobs, if they have businesses, if they're part of the economic mainstream, they won't be in the streets. And Sammy Davis Jr., I remember them asking Sammy Davis Jr., who supported Nixon in 68, why are you supporting Nixon? He said, because Nixon's talking about economic parity for black folks. And it just went over black folks' head. No, we want a Democrat because Democrats make us feel good. And Democrats talk the kind of talk we want to hear. And I remember when some blacks went into John Mitchell's office, and they were asking John Mitchell, they were going to boycott his office, and John, what are you going to do for black folks? Don't listen to what we say. Watch what we do. And I thought about that. I'm like, man, is that profound? Don't listen to what we say. Watch what we do.
One of the ways you could see how these programs were a total evasion of reality, if you look at the great migrations of black people from the South to the northern cities, in the South, black entrepreneurs really had, I think, a great deal going on. Communities were self-sufficient. Then we're told when the move north came that somehow the same people who had great proficiency in economics in the South somehow were at a total loss when they moved to New York and Chicago and cities like that. But rather than saying, hey, look, we need to give the opportunity to have businesses set up, to hire people, to be independent, to be financially stable, rather than go that direction, the government decided to go the direction of handouts, programs which would make the people who were in them dependent on government largesse. It failed. It failed miserably. And I think it was a real lesson going forward of how not to improve the lot of any group of people.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. So look, so here we are. Here we are again, trying to make some things work, and they're just not working. It just ticks me off that we're talking critical race theory, and nobody really knows what critical race theory is. And those of us who do know what critical race theory is, we don't get heard because there are people out there who want to drive this wedge and create all this hoopla over something that really doesn't exist in terms of what critical race theory is really about and really intended to be. What
we're coming down to is again an attempt by the progressive movement to co-opt anything good going on, to use schools to indoctrinate people, to indoctrinate our students into adhering to Democrat policies and left-wing policies, when in fact just the opposite is what is needed. Entrepreneurship is what's needed. The basics of a capitalist society, which has worked so well for so long for so many people, but was denied for so long to so many people. Mm-hmm. And that's what critical race theory is standing in the place of.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that, Frank, critical race theory is something totally different than the media has held it out to be. And it has nothing to do with teaching. It has nothing to do with teaching students that white people are devils and black people are oppressed. That's not critical race theory.
Except that's the aspect that's being taught in the school.
That's what's made up about what critical race theory is. It has nothing to do with critical race theory is really. This was an academic and quantitative and qualitative analysis of race in society and the legal system. That's what critical race theory was about. Race in the unequal treatment of blacks by the judicial system and society at large, whether it was like a jury trial or sentencing and things like that. That's what critical race theory is about. It was not about, and it is not about, you will not see anything in there about how to implement or how to train people in critical race theory. That does not exist. That is a media creation. Everything that you hear primarily about critical race theory has nothing to do with the actual. It's like Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter co-opted a real issue that Black lives do matter, and the reason they, police brutality, et cetera, et cetera. But the organization Black Lives Matter is a ripoff. They have nothing to do with, and they don't care about Black lives.
Well, the other part of that, when we're talking about the Black Lives Matter, is of course their affiliation with China. And both in terms of their fundraising and in terms of their activities, a lot of it has to do with simply, rather than solving the problem they claim to be concerned about, they simply want to apparently agitate and disunite the country, which of course is a major Chinese policy goal.
Yeah. So when we talk about critical race theory, when they show it on TV, it has nothing to do with. They're just taking a name and making it a hot button issue because it's called critical race theory. They should have, as one of the founders of critical race theory, one of the authors of critical race theory said, maybe we should have named it critical race analysis or something instead of a theory. So it's interesting. I'm going to be talking about it at 4:00 at the Freedom Works third annual convention that's being held in Philadelphia right now. So I'll be speaking on it at about 4 o'clock. The convention is actually going on right now. You can stream it live if you guys go to the third constitutional convention, day 2. So that's how you find it. Okay, so go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So, Frank, time's winding out here, so I want to get this in real quick. Did you see, or have you been following Jim Jordan, his questioning of these virologist experts? And did you hear last week or yesterday one of the scientists say that we knew in 2017 when the French got kicked out of the Wuhan lab, that they were venturing to use bioweapons in their warfare?
Well, that's exactly right. In fact, several years before that, a Chinese general giving an address to a group of Chinese military leaders discussed the efficacy and the use of biological warfare. So this isn't something that should really shock policymakers who are looking at the origins of the Wuhan virus. The fact is, this has been on the docket of the Chinese military for some time. When the Wuhan virus broke out, interesting, the doctors that I had interviewed, some of whom came from Wuhan several years before the virus broke out, said that in other epidemics in China, the SARS virus, the bird flu, things of that sort, the first people on the scene were always who you would expect, medical personnel, things of that sort. When the Wuhan virus broke out, a lot of the people on the scene, most prominent, were from the Chinese military.
Right.
And that's got to tell you exactly where the mentality of the Chinese was.
So then, like I have a brother who one of my play brothers who I'm sending this clip to, but they're saying that the American scientists are so stupid and so naive that they're sending the Chinese our DNA, our genome, so they can take it apart and attack us genetically. They know our weaknesses. Now, China passed a law. This man goes into China passed a law where the Chinese can't export or give out the Chinese DNA or their genetic structure. How about that?
Well, all I can tell you is I think that Dr. Fauci needs to lawyer up really strong and really hard and really fast. Some of his comments before Congress, I don't recall honestly whether he was under oath at the time that he delivered them, but if he was, a lot of what he told Congress was a blatant lie, and that's perjury, which is a real problem. We've seen Fauci contradict himself. We've seen him try to move from one position to the other, depending on what's good for him on that particular day. The fact is, there's a lot of information that it's becoming apparent that Fauci knew long before this got to the public and has been withholding from both Congress. And as he has admitted, there are certain things that he did not tell President Trump. Now, when you are a federal employee and you have information that's vital to the country and certainly vital to the programs of a president, and you decide to withhold that information, that's a serious issue, and one I think that Dr. Fauci is certainly going to have to answer for to the American public, as well as to Congress.
Well, what I don't appreciate is the fact that Trump allowed himself to be duped by these folks.
Well, I think part of the problem with that is that unlike prior presidents, he's not a professional politician. I don't think he knew his way around Washington. One of the reasons the left was so desperate to ensure that Donald Trump did not win the election of 2020 was with 4 years under his belt, he began to find out where the bodies were buried, what the facts were, and how you could really manipulate the federal bureaucracy to do what the American people actually wanted to do. So I think in those first years of the Trump presidency, finding his feet under him, I think was a real challenge for someone who's never been in politics before.
But he didn't listen. And he didn't really understand who his allies were. You know, he had to pull in people like Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan's a real
Correct.
ally. Paul
That's
Ryan.
correct.
Paul Ryan was pathetic and weak. McConnell weak. McCarthy militaristic at best. You know, he should have.
And that's not even counting the people who were supposedly his allies, but were actually working against him, like Paul Ryan.
Paul Ryan never admitted to being an ally. Paul Ryan said he was not going to vote for him. Oh no, Paul Ryan said he was going to vote for him, but he did not support him. Okay. Hey, but the thing on this COVID-19 thing that's so interesting is now they're admitting, we have our scientists admitting that this virus was manipulated by man. When
it became a bioweapon, essentially.
But remember, Fauci said when that first came out, Trump first said that, he said there's no evidence, and there were a number of scientists who came out and said there's no evidence of genetic of manipulation, of man-made manipulation. And I'm going, okay, so that kind of took us off that trail, but still Wuhan Virtual Institute and the Wuhan Biological Military Bioweapons Lab. I mean, we never lost that feeling that something's going on here that's not right.
Yeah, I think the general population had a gut instinct of what was happening, but the people who were supposed to keep us in the loop, the people that were supposed to let us know what was actually occurring, people like Dr. Fauci, did just the opposite.
But you know, you have to ask yourself why. Why?
That's the key question. And you wonder whether there's a tie-in.
Why are American scientists so intent on working with Chinese scientists? Why are they so intent on that? I have a brother who's stupid like that. Well, he said, well, they're good people. They're nice people. And I'm going, how you fucking stupid? They're Chinese, you some bitch. They're the enemy. They're nice. I mean, listen, dude, people need to start going to prison. And that's what we've lost in this country, putting white collar people in jail. It's become very repulsive to lock up a person who is a white collar person or a college graduate, except of course if you're Bill Cosby. That's the story.
On that note, I have to run, Charles.
All right, man.
I look forward to our conversation next week.
Okay, let's do it.
Take care. Bye.
Right, bye-bye. Frank Vernuccio. Hey, look, I want to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
From America's Cannabis Conversation. And I'm here to talk to you
alarms
about
going
how
off.
you can take responsibility for your own health. CV Science products that can help you empower yourself against the COVID-19 virus are CV Acute and CV Defense. The Acute product is taken at an early onset of feelings of discomfort and works over 3 days to assist your immune system to fight off the virus. The second product is CV Defense, which is taken daily, and it helps to optimize the power of your immune system to fight off this virus. Recently on my program, I had an interview with Dr. Michael Lewis, who's been in public health for decades. I asked him about personal responsibility, and he said,
"You are responsible for your own health. Don't count on the government to provide you with a magic pill or a magic shot for your health. That is your personal responsibility."
If you want to empower yourself and take control of your healthcare, go to empoweryourself.info. That's empoweryourself.info. and take care of your healthcare.
Hi, this is Charles Butler, the host of the radio show, The Reality Check with Charles Butler. At Asset Benefits, we provide our clients with the rates and benefits from over 20 top-rated life insurance companies. We make you informed decision makers about final expense, mortgage protection, and securing your family's financial stability with the loss of a loved one. Hey, don't wait. Pick up the phone and call 312-667-9111 for your free quote and evaluation. So don't leave your family in a financial crisis because of a failure to plan for financial needs. Please call us for a free analysis and quote at 312-667-9111. Thank you.
Okay, we're back from our quick break. I want to try to play.
Well, we were on notice in February of 2017.
I'm going to try to play. I'm going to play this piece from this scientist who is being questioned by Jim Jordan. And it's really interesting in that he's telling us that we knew that the Chinese were doing biological warfare with the information, the viruses that we were sending them, and the money. So here you have Fauci who sends money and the virus to Wuhan to do something that's outlawed in America. Listen to this. This is good. Here we go. Let's see.
Sophisticated technology employed in the world, but they gave to the Wuhan Institute, were kicked out and told the world that they thought this might be the beginning of a WMD program. So just to now that didn't mean the president of the United States or anyone really knew about it, but those of us following this technology knew about it.
But that's different. That is
a little different, but
it's a lot different because this is a guy in our government who gave
Dr.
Barry
Fauci
grants who's now on
about it too, shouldn't he? I mean, it's his counterpart in France. They were supposed to have 50 of their researchers from his French counterpart on station, and they were evicted.
Dr. Ash, let me ask you a question. Earlier today, you talked about this came from the lab, and the question is it just a leak from the lab or is it a bioweapon? And I want you to talk to us about that, because I think the assumption for most of us has been it's a leak from the lab, but you're the one who raised the bioweapon. You brought up that term, and you've been at the State Department. I think you were at the State Department for over 25 years. In and out, educated at Oxford and Cornell. You know a little something about all this stuff. Tell me your answer to, was it just a lab leak or was it a bioweapon?
They were working on a program related to synthetic biology and gain of function using the serial path.
Gain of function using the serial pathogens. See, we don't need to know and understand all of the technical terms. You know exactly what he just said. Fauci funded this research. Dr. Fauci. Not Charles Butler. Fauci. Let's finish.
In and out, educated at Oxford and Cornell. You know a little something about all this stuff. Tell me your answer to, was it just a lab leak or was it a bioweapon?
They were working on a program related to synthetic biology and gain of function using the serial passage evolutionary or convolutionary technology approaches. Quite publicly, actually, that they had said in their 2011 Declaration of the Biological Weapons Convention and other places, including speeches by their generals, was related to their future of warfare, of hybrid warfare. So, of course, they were working on dual-use research of concern. It's called DIRC. And the DIRC, in this case, again, if it gets out of a lab and it's not contained promptly, could result in a weapons-like release.
DIRC, dual-use research concern. DIRC. How come we just now hearing this term, DIRC? Dual use research concern. Bioweapon. China has to pay. China has to pay, and they have to pay now. You should call your congressman, you should call your senators, and you should demand that China be held responsible for killing 700,000 Americans with their bioweapon. This is all just a test. This is just a precursor. This is just a test run. Are we going to sit back and take this? This would never. See, once Trump got wind of this, he would have ran with it. But you got mainstream media out there who's still saying, oh no, China would never do anything like China. The Chinese people are so nice. They would never do anything like this. Oh my God, we're just xenophobic. And Trump is a racist. Is he? Is he xenophobic? The answer is hell no. He's an American. He put us first. That's what the deal is. He put us, the United States of America. He put us first. And we need that today. But some of you went out there and you elected Joe Biden because he was the lesser of two evils. You use stupid terms like that. The lesser of the less of two evils. Shut up. There's nothing evil about Trump. He certainly put America first and foremost. So I'm going to go back to that clip, finish that clip out for you, because it tells all. And I'm going to start it right here. We talk about Dirk.
Convention and other places, including speeches by their generals, was related to their future of warfare, of hybrid warfare. So, of course, they were working on dual-use research of concern. It's called DIRC. And the DIRC, in this case, again, if it gets out of a lab and it's not contained promptly, could result in a weapons-like release. Okay, whether they deliberately did it is, I have very little sense they did. But were they deliberately working on developing the capability to use advanced pathogenetic capabilities of war in a way that no one's seen ever employed? Yeah, they were. Of course they are. That's what the Chinese have been talking about publicly. So, I mean, there shouldn't be any surprise here. I just don't know why no one paid attention to it.
Well, that's why no one paid attention to it, because we're not surprised that they were dirking dual use research of concern. And we're just hearing about this. Did you know anything about Dirk, folks? If you did, raise your hand. It's incredible. Look, we're going to take a quick break before we get to the end of the show. Do a little housekeeping.
From America's Cannabis Conversation. And I'm here to talk to you about how you can take responsibility for your own health. CV Science products that can help you empower yourself against the COVID-19 virus are CV Acute and CV Defense. The Acute product is taken at an early onset of feelings of discomfort and works over 3 days to assist your immune system to fight off the virus. The second product is CV Defense, which is taken daily, and it helps to optimize the power of your immune system to fight off this virus. Recently on my program, I had an interview with Dr. Michael Lewis, who's been in public health for decades. I asked him about personal responsibility, and he said,
You are responsible for your own health. Don't count on the government to provide you with a magic pill or a magic shot for your health. That is your personal responsibility.
If you want to empower yourself and take control of your healthcare, go to empoweryourself.info. That's empoweryourself.info, and take care of your healthcare. Hello, this is Dan Perkins, and I want to talk to you about CV Science's new product to give you a healthy immune system. The all-natural product is called CV Defense, and this supplement is designed to protect you against attack on your immune system. Take it every day. Keep your immune system and you healthy. Be proactive about protecting your immune system and protecting your body by using CV Defense. For more information, you can go to empoweryourself.info. That's empoweryourself.info.
Okay, power yourself. Empower yourself. That INFO. We got a few showers here in Tampa, but we'll be all right. How Donald Trump claims to being the king of the tax code could come back to haunt him. Well, if it's in the tax code and it's legal and he exploits it, so what? I don't care. What I am concerned about, though, is this Pew Research study that just came out. And they talked about Biden winning the popular vote 51%, 47%. They said most 2020 voters, about 6 in 10, also had voted in both the 2016 presidential race and the 2018 midterms. And they talked about the group being split 53 to 46 for Biden. And said those who voted in 2016 but not in 2018 amounted to 13% of the electorate. And they 43% backed Trump to 45% for Biden. Interesting. Those who voted in 2018 but not 2016, just 6% of the electorate. Mostly went for Biden, 62% to 36%. I bet you those suburban housewives are going to be voting for Donald Trump now when they get all those illegals in their schools. and those illegals raping their daughters, filling their daughters up, those illegals hanging out at your Home Depot and looking at you all lustfully when you come out to go to your car, and they lusting, ogling you down. Yeah, you suburban housewives, you're getting exactly what you deserve. I'm sorry. Getting exactly what you deserve. Bar none. Trump's campaign had hoped to win the election by motivating people sympathetic to him who had not voted in 2016. Stupid, stupid, stupid. That's because he had these stupid consultants around him. Trump's campaign had hoped to win the election by motivating people. So nobody's sympathetic to Donald Trump. Donald Trump's considered a man. He's considered the man. Nobody's considered is sympathetic to the man. So the Pew study found that Trump was able to bring out many of those targeted supporters, and he did better than some pre-election polls had suggested. Polls don't dictate or indicate, in my opinion, very accurately anything. The initial margin, faithless electors. Faithless to whom? But Clinton could have won the presidency if approximately 78,000 voters had switched in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Trump could have won if 65,000 votes had shifted in Wisconsin, Arizona, Nebraska, congressional districts. Wow. Trump continues to make baseless claims about the election being rigged. They're not baseless. But that's the Washington Post where this article is. And so Biden won by moving some of the parts of the electorate into his direction. I don't think he moved anything into his election. I think that ballots were placed in districts to give him votes, to give him districts, and give him the election. That's what I think. I don't trust the machines. I think that people who've voted, who selected these voting machines, their asses whipped. Our old voting machines were just fine. But see, these voting machines companies bribe the politicians. There's no way or reason. See, all of this is covered. All of these things are covered in the Baker Carter election report. I mean, I'm not making them up. All of these ways to cheat and fraud and commit voter fraud are listed right there in the document. And these politicians allowed those cheating, frauding mechanisms or strategies to be implemented by the Democrat Party. Now, you can say, well, Charles, how do you justify that? Well, Davin Newsom said I'm going to send out ballots to everybody that's on the voter roll. Well, people move, people die. People didn't ask for these ballots to be sent to them. That's why his ass is up for recall. And he's toast. I had a guy the other day talk to me about Liz Cheney and Trump's niece. Why would I give a shit about either one of them? They're both stupid. They're nobodies. They're zeros. Why would I care what they have to say? Why would you care what they have to say? You shouldn't. Oh, well, Donald Trump used the N word. So what? I use the N word. I use the H word. I use the G word. I use the F word. So what? I don't get it. People are just enamored with Mary Trump and Liz Cheney. Yeah, well, Liz, she'll get a job over there with the lefties like Michael Steele because she's preaching against the Republican. It's not the Republican Party. You've never been a Republican. You've always been a globalist. You've always been a neocon. You've always been self-serving, just like your daddy. Okay. And with that said, Oh man. So they say Biden did a better job with Clinton in moving moderates to conservative Democrats and liberal Democrats. Trump increased his support among conservative Republicans and leaners compared to with 2016, but did worse among moderate and liberal Republicans and leaders. Yeah, he did, unfortunately. Trump won the white men without a college education by 35 points in 2016, but that was a decline from his 50-point margin in 2016. White men with college degrees compared with Clinton had battled sexism throughout her unsuccessful campaign. Another closely watched group in 2020 was white women without college degrees. And instead, Trump's margin grew with them from 23 points to 29 points. Good for them. Good for white women without college degrees. Very smart people. Now, white people with college degrees, white women, black men with college, thumbs down. Hey, I'm just saying, dumb, and dumber, and dumbest. Biden did less well with Hispanic voters without college degrees. Why? Hispanics without degrees know that illegals will put pressure on them, their livelihood, their position, their status in the country. And it has no room. We have no room for these people in our country. Oh, we have millions of jobs going unfilled. It's bullshit. Bullshit. You go get one. Every time Steve Moore says that, I'm going to go say, Steve, why don't you take one of those jobs? He changed that tune real quick, okay? So, anyway, I'm just saying. So we'll see what Donald Trump does here shortly. But I can tell you 2024 is going to be a good year. And they say that they may elect Donald Trump the Speaker of the House 2022. That would be a hell of a thing to do. That would be a hell of a price to pay. I love it. I love it. So we're winding down here, and I always thought that that was a great topic, talking about the little breakdown of the race. Because here we are still talking about it. What, 6 months later, 7 months later, 8 months later? The editorial page of Wall Street Journal had an interesting opinion, and they're very careful not to step on anyone's toes this week. They say, are Republicans whitewashing history? Are they? Are they betting Americans won't care or remember the truth? Okay. I don't know where to start with that one. You know, I just don't even know where to begin. Where can I begin? Let's see. Truth. Let's see. Voting restrictions in Republican-controlled states. No, there are no voting restrictions. There's no mob attack. There's no voter suppression. Get your ass up. Get your ass out to the polls and vote. That's what Americans do. They get up and go vote. And when you're not allowed to vote, like some people weren't in, what was that place? Was it New York? No, it wasn't New York. It was, it may have been, Philadelphia, where the Black Panthers were. I mean, that's called electioneering. Illegal. You can't stand up and intimidate people. But they should have found out the hard way. Well, I guess, man, you can't make this stuff up, people. You can't make this stuff up. Politics. I tell you one thing, on the court side, all I can say is thank God for Clarence Thomas. We're going to deal with that qualified immunity crap. He's not very happy with it. He's calling people out on it, saying, hey, we shouldn't have qualified immunity if we can't implement it fairly. He's absolutely right. Absolutely right. The courts turned down a petition from a Christian florist in a same-sex case. Refused to take another. Well, they already ruled. They already ruled on that. So, the florist shouldn't have to serve this same-sex couple. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, got it. These people are trying to force debauchery and homosexuality off. Like it's something that you need to accept. No, you don't need to accept it. God says it's an abomination. I didn't say that. God said it. Hey, but look, we're going to take a little break. We're going to go to, we're going to cut off Red State in about 30 seconds. So, and we'll keep on here at YouTube and Facebook. But so at 4:00, I'm going to be on a show. You guys take care out there at Red State. I'll be here tomorrow, same time, same place. Let's see. So YouTube, you go to YouTube. Let's see here, YouTube. Okay. Then I put in the third. Third. Congressional. No. Okay. The third continental. Third constitutional. What we got? I'm just going to tell you where you can go. Go get this real quick. Third Constitution. Who else? The third Constitution for A2. Should have wrote it down. Here we go. Third Constitutional Congress.
Important factor, and when someone.
Oh yeah. So it's streaming out there live. So you Google the Third Continental Conference, Day 2, and it comes up. Copy. So we'll go over here and we'll go. I'm gonna drop this real quick. And that's where you can find me streaming at 4:00. I'll be talking about critical race theory in the Constitution. Anyway, hope you guys will enjoy it. I enjoy putting these things together. Well, down here in Tampa, we're trying to survive this hurricane we got coming up the coast. I know in the background you see the tennis folks over there. They're over there doing their thing. And I'm trying to do mine. But it is what it is. Let's see here. New York Times. I wanted to check them out real quick. Breaking news. Da-da-da. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. Yep, breaking news all day, all week. Oh, man. I guess it didn't come through. You know, I have all these things in my list, and they just kind of pop up. Boom. You don't. It leaves me in a lurch. The Taliban. They talk about the Taliban coming back, and they're talking about us leaving Afghanistan. Those were two hot items today in the news. I'm all for leaving Afghanistan. Those people have been warring for over 700 years, and if they can't fight back, push the Taliban back, too bad. But those people, those Taliban, man, they're rough. They're not good people. They say the Taliban try to polish their image as they push for victory. There's no image to polish. It's like trying to put an image on an alligator or a crocodile. You know they're gonna eat you. Mm. And they're talking about some people some veterans who back Biden and Trump leaving Afghanistan. I don't know why anyway. As they say, the Hawks accusing Biden and Trump of accepting defeat. There's no war to win. There's nothing to win. I mean, just losing money and spending money and risking lives. But a lot of folks came together. Common defense. They antagonized Donald Trump from day one. Who else? You know, we have all of these. Anyway, the Cox Network actually, they say it's a common defense, a long-time antagonist of former Donald Trump and secure families benefit. Let me get some out of both of those coffins. I'm going to get something out of both of those coffins. That's what I said. Yep. I'm going to make sure. The Secure Family Initiative. Anyway, these people have pushed to end the conflict, bring our children home. I'm with them, 110%. Because war knows no peace. Okay. So look, we get ready to sign out here. I was just trying to pull up another story, but doesn't look like it's going to work with me here. I got some friends though who are in Paris. I just wanted to reach out to them and say, have a wonderful Paris trip. You know, make a baby while you're over there. Too bad, huh? Should we sell? No. The dangers of anti-critical race theory. Wow, that's heavy. Should be interesting. So gas prices are going to rise another 20%, another 20 cents by August. So that means gas went from $1.85 under Trump to over $4 under Joe Biden. You don't think that's significant, huh? Yeah, that's significant. So look, I'm out of here. Like I said, I'm going to close up shop. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Tune us in at 4 o'clock. I'm going to do the Continental Congress and the third Continental Congress, day 2. We'll be streaming live. So check us out, okay? And I will see you tomorrow.